I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, against you, against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. And that's supposed to be free will. But Israel did not choose life. They chose death. The people that are always accusing of not looking at context are themselves the ones that don't look at the context. So let's look at the context. Context is Hebrews 10. It tells you what it tells you what you're reading in Deuteronomy. Gar for the nomos, the law, for the law, skia. That means a shade. For the law, shade. Skia, a shadow, like a dark outline. Echo, holding. For the law, a dark outline, a shadow, holding. The coming agathos. That's what the law is. It's the coming agathos. Agathos is translated good, and that's just a terrible translation. Agathos comes from the Greek word agon. That's what they called the Colosseums, where they killed Christians and had competitions. It's a Greek word that comes out of striving and competition and pain and agony. It's where agon is where we get the word agonizomai, which is the word agonizing, the narrow way. Here it is again. So the thing the Calvinists don't get is the narrow way. You hear some of them occasionally mention it, but it's what the Bible's about, and it's their problem because they're stuck in their Protestantism, their Protestant system, and they don't go to the Bible. They go to what the Protestant system says about the Bible. I've been the Calvinist of all Calvinists. I know it firsthand. Just look up Dr. Robert Morey. I was trained in Calvinism by Dr. Robert Morey. Greek, Hebrew, Calvinism, apologetics, logic, all of it. Through the Calvinist of all Calvinists. And they go to the Reformed. It's their lens at which they look at the Bible. Okay. So the agathos thing to come, it's the narrow way. The law, get this thing off here. The law, the nomos, which is food. It comes from Nemo. It's parceling food for animals. It's the food. The food, the thing you're supposed to eat for life is the skia. So is the skia, not things the form, the where we get the word pragmatic. The real thing is not the real thing. It's the form. It's not the real thing. So that's what the law is. It's the skia, the law. So go back. So this is Deuteronomy 30. Duo, second, Ronomy, nomos, second, Deuteronomy, second, law. This is the law. So this is the skia. So this is not the real thing. This is the representation of the agathos. It's the agathos thing to come, the narrow way to come. This is the narrow way to come. And you can see it right here. So therefore choose life. So God tells Israel, and who's Israel? If this is the agathos thing to come, who's Israel? Not all Israel is Israel. We're now spiritual Israel. Spiritual Israel, choose life. And what does choose life mean? This is in Deuteronomy. It's before they go take the land. God tells them to go take the land and don't sacrifice to the idols and rotate your crops. So people, it's like they don't realize, but most of the thing God scattered them for was not rotating their crops. And the reason they went to the idol worship is because they weren't rotating their crops. They went to the idol worship to make their crops grow, for the success of their crops. Because that's what the idol worship was about, the sun and tree worship. Everything was about the crops. Everything was about the 23.5 degree rotation of the sun going around, Earth going around the sun. That's what it's all about. So God says, choose life, which means go into the land and obey me. And they don't. They didn't choose life. This is the skia of the agathos thing to come. God says choose. This is anti-free will. God says choose life, and we don't. When I say we, I mean his people. We don't. We can't. That's why they were doing the sacrifice. That's what Jesus is for. To bring life. Because God says choose life, and we don't. We can't. This is an anti-free will verse because they don't know what it is. They see the word choose and they go, oh, they freak out, choose, oh, free will. They're just stupid. That's all there is to it. Free will equals ignorance. So when the free will people start to do this to you, this is how you respond. You respond because you understand what the Bible is. It's about death to self. It's about the agathos thing to come. This is what the Calvinists don't get, man. They just don't get it. Some of them do. They talk about it very little. Very little. It's in passing. They say God predestined and they stop. Not what he predestined his people to do and be. They miss it. And that's why Calvinists get stumped here half the time. Because they don't know what it is. They don't know it's death to self.